and welcome to this week's episode of Think Tank Thursday. I'm Denise Killian with Trainertainment, and I couldn't be more thrilled that you're joining us. Before we get started, I'd like to thank our sponsors for 2025. We appreciate their support, which helps us to offer you new episodes each and every week. On Thursdays, Trainertainment likes to take a little break from the doing and spend just a little bit of time thinking. And today, we're going to be talking all about marketing. What can you do to help grow your marketing reach? And we're going to be speaking with Tiffany Avery. So let's jump in. Tiffany Avery, we are so excited to have you on Think Tank Thursday. Welcome.
Thank you, Denise. It's always good to be here.
Wonderful, wonderful. So Tiffany, we're going to be talking about marketing, which is your expertise. But before we do that, tell us a little bit about yourself and why I'm calling you my marketing guru.
Okay, well, I've worked in marketing for over 20 years. I've done just about every job in the marketing field. So whether it's web development, strategy, being a director, being a VP, most of those things. So I feel like I have a pretty good grasp on everything that's required to have a successful marketing program. So I kind of pride myself on that. And I'm just very passionate about it.
Excellent. And I love when we get to have conversations talking about the successes that you've seen for your clients, and how thrilling and how genuinely excited you are
It's
to
so
see their success.
rewarding. Yeah, it's so rewarding. I feel like it's better. It's like when you see your kid like graduate or accomplish something big. Like it gives you such a sense of pride, and our clients are just such wonderful people that you just really want them to succeed anyway. And so when they're doing really well, it gets me emotional kind of too, because I'm like, oh my gosh, they did so great. I'm so proud.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's fantastic. It's fantastic. So marketing is so much more than just, I made some flyers and I put them in the mail. I made one little spot that's running randomly on whatever station or radio spot that I can get, or a billboard, right? It's more than that. There's a lot of strategy behind it. And it's something that people can be overwhelmed by. So you've got kind of the three-step process that
Yep.
no matter if it's a social media campaign, or if it's a traditional media campaign, or a direct mailing campaign, of what you need to be looking for, right?
Mhm.
So starting off, our number one is intent. What are we marketing?
So make sure that you know exactly what you're doing when you're putting a campaign together. Make sure you have your brand where you want it, whether that's visually, but also in terms of messaging. That's one thing that I see all the time, is that people don't think about key messaging. And so they're just putting all these different random messages out there. And it makes it really hard for the consumer to translate that into who you are and to identify with you. And that's really a huge part of your brand. And it's something that I think is often overlooked. So I think if you can sit down and put together what I call a key messaging framework, just pick several key messages that you like, that you think that describe you, or that you want people to identify with your business. I think that's one of the most important things. And then always stick to your color palette and your imaging, just for consistency, because we have a really hard time in today's society on focusing, especially with all the distractions around us. I was trying to find out earlier, what is it now? Like, how many times do you have to see something? Because the last one I heard was, I think, 1,000 times, but you're thinking 400. I know it's something crazy now. Like Harvard had said 1,000 before.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean, I remember, 3 years ago when I started working. It's a little bit longer than that, but way back when, it was like you had to hear a message 7 times for it to click. And then it kind of jumped up, and it jumped up more. And now it is something absurd, that because we're inundated at all times, every time we pick up our phone, every time we go anywhere or do anything, one, we're not as focused on whatever it is we're doing. We're often doing multiple things, so it takes more times to penetrate. But also, we're just inundated so much that if you're not strategic in being clear in your message, it's going to get lost in the void.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What tips do you have when you talk about the key messaging framework? Is that kind of like a great brainstorming session? Do you use your core values? Like what framework?
Definitely bring your core values into it, and what you stand for. You don't want to make it super generic like everybody else. But you need to think like put intent behind it. So if you want a certain message to be associated with you, like we are the number one outdoor recreation center in the region or something like that, like you need to put intent behind why are you number one? Like you need to know why. So when your employees, when somebody says like what makes you number one, you're not just like, oh well, we're the best. That, you know what I mean? It has to be something like, oh well, we offer more attractions than anyone else. And then that's taking it a step further. And that might be what you say instead of the generic, we are the number one FEC in our region. It should be, we offer more outdoor attractions than anyone else in 100-mile radius.
And being specific,
Yes.
right? Not just open and broad. And the more specific you can be in that messaging, the better.
Yes, I think anytime you can like what makes your unique what is it, unique selling proposition, like try to bring that into it. Like what makes you different than your competitors? Like how are they going to
Yeah.
remember you? It's like, oh, well they have more stuff to do there than anybody.
Mhm. And that's something that um, you can maybe not be fully aware of as an owner or as a manager, that this is something that you may think that this is what your unique selling proposition is, but for your customers, it's not that, or even your employees, it's not that,
Yes.
right? So
I think
making
that's where,
sure.
yes, that's where it's important, I think, to have a brainstorming with your team. So you're not think, okay, so I'm going to actually, when I worked for L Brands, way back in the day, that was my very first marketing job I was a corporate employee. So I was working for Victoria's Secret, Bath and Body Works, like all the different branches or different companies under that umbrella. And I remember Victoria's Secret we had this meeting, and it was like one of the site directors said, this is the way it is about what something specific. And I was like, but that's not. And so it's really important to have those conversations, even though they're tough, um, because you do have to be realistic. You can't just live in a dream world and think, this is how I want people to perceive me. So this is how it's going to be. Like you have to be in touch with reality, to convince others of how you are, right? So if you're trying to say or build up this whole, otherwise it's just smoke and mirrors, right? So you don't want to build up this whole persona and then not have the backing to it. So I think that's really important to make sure that you do have those conversations and even ask your customers. I mean, you can have feedback forms, I think are so important. Like customer feedback is a gift. I hate it when people say feedback's a gift when they're giving you negative feedback, but it's so true. Because some of the most crucial conversations in my career have helped me become, that much better.
Mhm. Well, and it's the awareness. You never want to promise something, and
Yes,
then a customer comes in and you can't deliver on that promise. Not only have you lost that customer, but they're going to tell their friends. They're going to tell
absolutely.
other people, right?
Yeah,
So making sure that whatever that marketing message is, that you deliver on it.
correct.
Yeah. Okay. So you've got the intent, you've got the key framework. You know, this is our message. This is core to who we are. This is how we're going to bring the people in. What do you do next? What does the structure look like? What is the plan?
This is where you really put the pen to paper, or you put your fingers to the keyboard. I say take the school calendars for the nearby school districts, take your operations calendar, and then I don't care if it's a Google Sheet, I don't care if it's Microsoft Word, I don't care what it is. Make a list by month, whether you're just filling in a calendar. I don't even care if you do it by hand on a physical calendar, but put together a plan and look 12 months ahead. Look 12 months ahead at first. So every year, look 12 months ahead and then quarterly. Sit down, look at what's coming up, and plan ahead. You should always be planning out 30, 60, and 90 days ahead of time.
You know, there's so many times when and I've been guilty of this myself,
I think all of us.
that you look up and you're like, oh my gosh, this really big community event that is so super important is next week.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, what are we going to do? And it's too late.
I can't tell you how many times I have clients who are like, oh, our 5-year anniversary is next in 2 weeks. And I'm like, oh, well, that's,
Cool.
we can plan something, but that would have been really helpful to know like 3 months ago. You know what I
Right.
mean? Because it's very, like, we could have made a much bigger circus out of it. Or I'd hate to say circus because I don't mean it in a bad way, but we could have made a much bigger deal out of it and made, had much more strategy and structure behind it had we planned ahead. Otherwise, now we're just scrambling to get everything done.
Now, how far in advance should you be looking to really be able to make that big splash?
90 days. So start out at 90. I say, well, actually 12 months. So you're looking at your full calendar year. And then every quarter, like every month, you're looking at the next 3 months. So then you have milestones that you need to accomplish at that 90 days. Then you have things that need to be accomplished by the 60 days, things that need to be accomplished by the 30-day mark. And then, 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 1 week, 3 days, in smaller increments.
Yeah, absolutely. So I love the go to the school calendars, go to your community calendars. Every city has their own, big events kind of a thing, right? Look to those. Also, I mean, I make this joke all the time, but it feels like every day is a national something day, right?
It is.
National Sonic Drink Day.
Yeah, I
My
actually
favorite
have a
for Sonic.
calendar with those funny days on it. And I always recommend that to people if you just need, like, if you, and it's easy to tie into your business and in the FEC world. So like if it's National Hot Dog Day, do a hot dog special, right?
Right.
Like run a hot dog special for National Hot Dog Day. I think some of them are really silly that you may not be able to, have a clean you may not be
Tie
able
to,
to, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So you can skip those. That's okay. But I always say, like, if there is something like that, take advantage of it.
Well, yeah, I mean, just last week was International Laser Tag Day.
Yeah,
Who
see,
knew there was such a thing? But if you've
I
got
did
a
not know
laser tag
that.
in your
Actually, I don't think I
FEC,
have that one on my silly calendar. I call it my silly calendar, but yeah.
there you go. There you go. Right? But take advantage of it. We
Mhm.
know about the big ones like the National Bowling Day and all of that, National Rock Climbing Wall
Right.
Day, National Arcade Day, whatever. But there are other days that you can take
Right.
advantage of and do some kind of a promotion to try to get people in the door,
Yeah,
right?
there's International Women's Day, there's teacher appreciation days, and you can always run specials, for things like that. And that's when I say, like, that's when you need to be looking out ahead and saying, like, okay, on this week or on this day, we're going to run this promotion because it's relevant to what's going on around us.
And when you have that plan put together, I think one of the frustrations maybe with marketing is it's really hard to track exact results to a marketing effort.
Yeah.
But any good business person needs to have some kind of an ROI, right? If I'm
Mhm.
going to spend this money and we're going to spend this time doing this, I need to know what the return on that investment is.
Absolutely.
And marketing can be kind of hard to pinpoint.
It can be.
What's the best way to track?
So if you're doing campaigns, like digital campaigns are really easy to track, email marketing is really easy to track, social media is easy to track. If you're doing things like flyers or social media posts with like a promotion or something, make sure that you use some kind of code or keyword or something to help you identify it with that so you know as a business owner, what are people actually redeeming? What are they using? So through your website, if it's something where they can go online and buy a ticket at a discounted price for teacher appreciation or something, maybe the code is "We love teachers," or something like that. So then you can go back and look at the purchases and see who used that promo code. Because if you're putting that out on the radio, putting that out on a mailer, QR codes are a great thing to use as well, on printed items. So, those are a great thing as well because you can always track the activity there.
And in terms of tracking, right? That's super important. So I love that tip of having some specific way that when it's redeemed or if they come in the door, that they say these magic words or flash that QR code to be able to have that direct tie to your marketing effort. The other thing in terms of tracking is how long does it take, right? It's not
Yeah.
tomorrow. You put an
No.
ad out today, tomorrow you're gonna have a line out the door, right? How long does this take?
Okay, so each different channel of marketing has its own, I would say, timeline or time frame because sometimes, and it also depends on the campaign. Because if you're just running like a promotion for St. Patrick's Day, for example, that we just had, you're not going to run that for, all year. You're not going to run that for 3 months. You're going to run that probably for like 2 weeks, right? Maybe a month at the most, because you have Valentine's Day, then St. Patrick's Day, things like that. So um, you obviously want to put a time limit on it, which I call a limited time offer. So it kind of creates that sense of urgency for people to use it. And so that way you have a stop date for when you can stop using it. You may put, most people, and I think should put in like a small buffer of like several days or a week or something like that, just in case, because things happen. It's life, right? And you always want to be a good community partner. You always want people to, you know, you always want people to appreciate you, right? So, especially as a business owner, especially a lot of the small businesses in our industry. So, um, I think, you want to be less corporate and more family friendly and understanding. So, make sure you do some sort of, um, like you'll still honor it for so many days, but you don't have to print that on the flyer. You can, or on the marketing material. You can just say, like, it's something that all of your employees should just know. Like we can honor this for 3 extra days or something like
Right,
that.
right.
So then that helps
Um,
you with those time frames.
Absolutely. And if you are doing something, um, expect and walk into the process knowing you're not going to see an immediate result,
Right.
that it's going to be, you need at least a couple of weeks of
Yeah,
that constant, consistent messaging to
correct.
start to see some traction, right?
Yes. So especially with like digital marketing today, digital marketing and on social media, like the retargeting and things like that, like we're so inundated, when we're scrolling social media, I see ads just constantly. Like I see somebody's post and then I see an ad and then I see somebody's post and then I see an ad. So you really have to deliver those ads or serve those ads so many times before somebody might notice it. And then another thing is you want to change out your creative. I say at least once a month. I wouldn't run digital ad creative for more than 1 month at a time because we call that banner blindness. People just get used to seeing it and just scroll right past it.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So even though it will have the same messaging,
Yeah,
you
just
want something different, right? Whether it's a different picture or a different, right? Just to pull you in again. That's
yep.
interesting. I hadn't thought
I
about
always tell
that. That's
people to swap out their creatives as, at least once a month.
yeah, that's a great tip. That's
Mhm.
an excellent tip. When we talk about the plan and marketing in general, I think that technology has enabled us to be a little more laser focused
Mhm.
than what kind of it used to be.
Mhm.
Talk about, if you can, a little bit of how technology can help aid and how important it is to have marketing that targets the folks that you want.
Okay, so with tech, like with social media, for example, like we can target age, zip code, household income. There are so many different things. And one thing that I do every time I onboard a new client for marketing coaching is I do what I call a target analysis. So I'll look at their top zip codes that are for sales. So I'll say like pull your sales reports and tell me what are the top 10 zip codes for people who are coming to you right now. And then I'll also look at a broader, like 30 minute radius, because I think 30 minutes is like I would drive 30 minutes to take my kids to do something fun. Depending on what it is. If it's an amusement park, I would probably do like an hour, maybe more, depending on how big it is. But I think, you want to look at like a radius. So if you're a family entertainment center, I would say like a 30-minute radius. Well, around DFW anyway, depending on where you are. But 30-minute radius is generally a pretty good rule of thumb. And then look at the different demographics around you. I had a local client who was getting um, some non-desired areas that they really weren't, it just what like they weren't spending as much. It was kind of causing trouble in the center. They were having like just security issues and things like that. And so we looked at it and we looked at it very broadly and decided, oh, well, a there's an average household income with over $200,000 in a zip code 7 miles away. So we're now targeting them.
Yeah, let's go for them,
Yeah.
right? Let's target them. That's a great.
I think looking at that data and learning how to understand that data is so important. But also technology gives us that opportunity to do that.
Yeah. And making sure that you're working with somebody who knows how to utilize that is important,
Yes.
right? Because you're not going to advertise uh, makeup necessarily in an NFL game,
Right.
right? So know the audience, who's watching, who's listening, who's reading, who's scrolling. How do I get into that person
Yes.
and not just a shotgun approach, right?
And you can target zip codes with old-fashioned mailers. You can, and there's plenty of companies that will do it for a very reasonable price. I say don't do Valpak because that's an envelope of coupons that most people just
Yes.
throw away without even opening. But if you do a postcard that has a nice picture on it with like a QR code, I feel like that's a very simple, easy, affordable way to reach people, especially if you're targeting certain generations. Now, if you're, I think mostly though, digital is the way to go. And I heard last week that there was a marketing person in the industry who didn't know what geofencing was. And so I was just like, that's crazy to me. Like you should definitely be taking advantage of that. So, you want to be targeting people by zip code, and you can do that digitally through your online ads.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So Tiffany, let me just recap for everybody here, make sure I got it all right. Three-step approach, friends. It doesn't have to be too crazy. Make sure that you have a clear intent
Mhm.
and you have a clear and defined message that you can live up to,
Yeah.
that you want to send out, right? Number one. Number
Mhm.
two, have that plan in place. And it's not oh, what's happening next week? You need to have a year-long plan. You need to do a 90-day plan, 60-day plan, 30-day plan, 3 week, 2 week, 1 week, four
And
day,
also
3 day. Yeah.
important to add to that is know how much you can afford to spend
Yeah.
with that. Like put a plan to that. And that's something that I think also when I say structure in marketing, in this industry, I feel like a lot of people don't have marketing budgets. They're just like, oh, well, somebody said
We
that,
post on social media. It's fine.
yeah, we can post on social media. And somebody from this magazine called and said that they would do this ad for $500. And we thought, hey, that sounds like a great idea. Let's try it. But
Yeah.
me, you should be seeking out the people that you want based on the channels that you want to hit, right? Not they shouldn't be coming to you. You should be able to say, we already have somebody for our digital. We already have somebody for this, but or we already have these billboards, but I would love to hear your pricing.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And then the third and final and really important, make sure you set yourself up with a way to track the results.
Yeah, always.
Yeah,
You can do that with
outstanding.
landing page. I mean, there's just so many ways to do that now. Like I said, QR codes, mailers, if they have to physically bring it in, you collect them, right? Just make sure that your staff and team know what to do with them so you can count them and track them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, Tiffany, it's time for our Think Tank Thursday question, my
Okay.
friend. Are you ready?
No.
What do you do? Of course, here at Trade Entertainment, we are all about growth. What do you do to grow yourself?
I seek a lot of feedback from others. I like to know what I'm doing that's working, what I'm doing that's not working. I feel like my personal brand is also a big part of what I do as a coach. So I don't want to come across as insincere or not smart. Like I want people to feel confident in the direction and the guidance that I'm providing. And so I seek out a lot of feedback, but also I read a lot. I try to stay up to date with the latest technology, things that are going on. I subscribe to different newsletters. I listen to podcasts, I watch videos. I mean, I just try to stay like really in the loop with everything that's going on around me. So I always know, what's the latest and greatest that we can try.
Outstanding. I love it. I love it. All right, Tiffany, you mentioned that you do marketing coaching. You work with us and do marketing coaching. Talk a little bit about what that is and how can people get in touch with you?
Okay, so we can do different types of programs for marketing coaching. I can do weekly, I can do biweekly, monthly, quarterly planning, and it's usually just a call. There's also group coaching is available, and it's all through Trainertainment. So either like it's mostly our traditional Trainertainment coaching, but it's for marketing, and any of those avenues. And you can find me at trainertainment.net.
Perfect. Wonderful. Well, Tiffany, I appreciate your time today. I have to give a shout out. I see a very special guest behind you. Um, oh, hi, Cash. That is Cash, who is amazing and also a marketing expert himself. So, yeah, absolutely.
The man and in his puppy days. Yeah, he was the guy.
Absolutely. I love it. I love it. Well, Tiffany, thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate it. You've given us so much to think about and great things to really employ right now. If you don't have a plan for this year, stop what you're doing, get your team together, and get started.
And call me.
Yeah. And call Tiffany. That's right. Absolutely. Wonderful. Well, thanks so much, Tiffany. Appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you, Tiffany. I know I learned a lot. I wrote down a lot. I hope that you did as well. Things that you can do right now to help increase your marketing reach. Before we leave you today, I also have to thank our sponsors for 2025. We appreciate what they do to help bring you Think Tank Thursday each and every week. If you have a Think Tank idea or if you'd like to be a guest, I sure would love to hear from you. You can reach me at Denise@trainertainment.net. And thanks for joining us for today's episode. And remember that the journey to success is all about growth. And here at Trainertainment, we're committed to helping you and your company thrive. You can visit us at trainertainment.net to learn how you can support your growth journey for yourself, your team, and your business by setting up a free growth call with one of our coaches. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep striving for the extraordinary.
Playthrough is an online scoring system for mini golf courses. Simply post a QR code near the first hole. Golfers scan it with any mobile phone, add their golfers, and start entering scores. They can easily view their group leaderboard or the course leaderboards. Playthrough also includes features like hole sponsor logos and hole transition ads to help grow your business. Visit playthroughmini.com to see what else Playthrough can do.